Hello and welcome to Round 4 Swiss coverage of OGFC's Ulti-Pot tournament. Today we have Jinzo Dude 9 playing Goat Control up against Apex Master 1 playing Reasoning Gate Turbo. This should be a very fun, exciting, and electrifying match, so without further ado, let's begin. So looks like Jinzo Dude has 1 RPS and he's going to most likely choose to go first. He's going to draw for turn. And start the turn off by activating Pot of Greed. Drawing to 7 cards in hand. He's then going to set a monster and pass his turn. Apex Master draws. He's going to normal summon Sacred Crane and attack the set monster, which ends up being Magician of Faith. And Jinzo Dude's going to recur that Pot of Greed from his graveyard. Now I like this attack a lot. There's kind of like an unwritten rule in GOAT format where you try to attack every set monster that your opponent puts down if possible. This prevents the potential of a Souk lock, and it looks like Apex Master is aware of that. Obviously, recurring the pot is still sort of bad, but it's less bad than if Jinzo Dude established a Souk lock with the Magician of Faith and recurred the pot every single turn. So Jinzo Dude draws to what I believe is 9 in hand after the Pot of Greed. He's going to activate MST on the set. And it ends up being Metamorphosis. Jinzo Dude is going to set a back row and then go to his end phase and discard Air Knight Parshath. So to me that telegraphs the set being called the Haunted, that Jinzo Dude has Premature Burial in his hand, or that he's just severely monster clogged and can't really do anything right now. Apex Master equips United We Stand to the Sacred Crane, and then attacks directly and is met with a Sakuretsu armor. So from that exchange, Jinzo Dude just basically went +1, because not only did Apex Master lose the Sacred Crane, but he also lost the United We Stand equipped to it. So Jinzo Dude draws to 7. He normal summons Trap Infecting Virus and attempts to attack for 16. And it goes through, dropping Apex Master down to 6,400 life points. Jinzo Dude's going to set a back row and pass his turn. So it definitely looks like Jinzo Dude is pretty monster clogged. Apex Master sets a card and ends his turn, and it's met with a Dust Tornado from Jinzo Dude in the end phase, destroying Apex Master's own Dust Tornado. Jinzo Dude normal summon Sangan and attack with both monsters, dropping Apex Master down to 3,800. So, despite the fact that Jinzo Dude is kind of monster clogged and doesn't really have any backer to protect himself with, this is still a pretty good position for him. He's clocking the Reasoning Gate Turbo player down pretty quickly. And the sooner that the Reasoning Gate Turbo player is under 2,000 life points, the better, because it means that they can no longer use Dimension Fusion. Apex Master activates Monster Reincarnation, discarding Demok to get back Sacred Crane. So to me, this telegraphs a potential monster gate. But instead we see a Snatch Steal on the Tribe. Is he going to discard the Crane to pop the Sangan and then maybe summon a Chaos Monster? I guess another play you could also do is pop the Tribe itself, and then if he has a Sword, he can banish the Sangan so that Jinzo doesn't get the search. But that doesn't look like the play he chose. So we do indeed see a Chaos drop after Jinzo Dude searches Sinister Serpent with the Sangan. And Apex Master is just going to swing for 39, I believe. Yep. And that passes his turn. Wow. Looks like Apex Master just didn't drive very well. If that's like his only push, then that's just kind of unfortunate. And that Heavy Storm basically seals the game, I believe. Because the Tribe's going to be able to destroy the Sorcerer. Oh, but it looks like Jinzo Dude has other plans. He's going to drop BLS and just attack for game. And that's going to be game 1. So good stuff to Jinzo Dude for seeing the game shot. Let's take a look at both of their side decks. From Jinzo Dude's end, it looks like he's likely going to bring in his 3 Solemn Judgments, maybe his 3rd Scapegoat. I think most likely the 3rd Scapegoat. He might also bring in the 2 enemy controllers in the side deck. These would make sense because you can steal bigger monsters and then just attack with them before giving them back. And maybe you can even like use Metamorphosis on them or like tribute them for something else. So that could be very interesting actually. I don't think the creature swaps will come in because most Reason Gate Turbo decks do play Scapegoat, and if you activate creature swap and then your opponent chains Scapegoat, then you just kind of wasted a creature swap. So I don't think that's coming in. So I think those 7 cards, the 2 Econs, sorry, those 6 cards, the 2 Econs, the Scapegoat, and the 3 Solemn should be, I think, most likely all that he's going to bring in. From Apex Master's end, I don't think he's actually going to bring anything in. It doesn't look like his side deck is suited to deal with Go Control, and it's more so built to tackle other matchups. So I think he might just rock the same 41 cards that he brought for game 1. Having said that, it looks like both players are ready to go. So let's start game 2. Apex Master is going to choose to go first. He's going to set a back row and then pass his turn. This is a pretty common Reasoning Gate opening. Usually you don't really want to go off on turn 1 because it opens up your monsters to be stolen by things like Thousand Eyes Restrict and Snatch Steal. And you also can't attack with whatever you summon, so it's usually better to just be patient on your first turn and then push on turn 3. So I like this approach from Apex Master a lot. So this ends up being Scapegoat. He's likely going to use it and summon 4 tokens. This opens up the ability for Apex Master to use a monster gate next turn. And something I actually really like is Jinzo Dude choosing not to attack any of the tokens. This is kind of questionable if, you know, Jinzo Dude doesn't have Trap Infecting Virus or Azura Priest to get rid of the tokens next turn. But the fact that he also left all 4 of the tokens on the board means that Apex Master has less monster zones to work with. Having said that, if Jinzo Dude doesn't have a way to get rid of all the tokens in one fell swoop, I think he should have definitely attacked one. But if he didn't, then that play makes a lot of sense. This also makes a lot of sense of the Seth's Torrential Tribute. Especially backed by a Sangan. I think that's a pretty solid read to make, in my opinion. So Apex Master uses Monster Gate, and that hits a Bazoo. So it looks like the Bazoo's resetted in. I'm not really sure why, but we'll see if they pay off. We see a second Monster Gate. And this one hits Jinzo. So if that back row is indeed torrential, that's pretty huge. It's also huge if Jinzo Dude has a Sakuretsu armor down there. So this could potentially be very big. And we see a Snatch Shield come down from the for the Sangan. This is a little confusing to me. I get it makes sense because, like, sure, I get why Apex Master would have done this. You know, he wants to establish some sort of 2-turn clock on Jinzo Dude and just maximize his damage output. But generally speaking, using Snatch Steal on floaters like Sangan is not really what you want to be doing with the card. The set ends up being Scapegoat as well, so Jinzo Dude's just going to go up to 9,000. And Apex Master just actually doesn't get any damage in that turn, which is a little troublesome for him, honestly, because he threw a good chunk of resources into that push. I think players are just clarifying how many tokens Apex Master wants to attack. And 3 will indeed be removed. Now Scapegoat use also telegraphs a Metamorphosis, most likely, from Jinzo Dude's perspective. And indeed, we do see the meta come down. For 1,000 Asher Strict, and that's likely going to take the Jinzo, I believe. Yep. So Jinzo gets sucked up. 1,000 Asher is going to be at 24. Oh, but we see it get tributed off for an Air Knight. And the Air Knight's going to attack over Bazoo. I think this is correct, for sure. Had Jinzo Dude not attacked the Bazoo would be able to banish Jinzo and then crash into the Air Knight next turn. And that's probably not too favorable for Jinzo Dude, because you kind of want the Air Knight to stick to the board. Jinzo Dude's going to set a back row and then pass the turn. We see the third Monster Gate come down from Apex Master. It goes through. And hits Demok. I think if I'm Apex Master, I'm pretty happy about that. That's probably the best thing he could have asked for off the Monster Gate. He has a good chunk of things to get back here too. He could get back another Monster Gate. He could get back Dimension Fusion if he doesn't have it already. Though I don't think it really does anything because there are indeed no lights in the graveyard right now. He has like Heavy Storm though. I guess he's just really concerned about the back row. He's going to activate it, and Ring of Destruction is going to be used on the Demok, dealing 2800 damage to both players and giving control of Sengen back to Jinzo Dude. Does Apex Master have a follow-up? Oh wow, he doesn't. He just sets 2 back row and passes the turn. We see Heavy Storm get revealed. I'm not really sure why, but it's likely going to be used if anything. Yep. So the Heavy Storm is going to clear both back rows, but not before Call of the Haunted is changed to the Heavy Storm to summon back Jinzo. And the Jinzo is going to stick to the board because the Jinzo negates Call of the Haunted's effect to destroy the monster it summoned. We see a skilled Dark Magician come down. And we see an enemy controller on the Air Knight to take the Jinzo. And then we see Premature Burial on the Air Knight. Is that game? I think that's game. Yeah, that's more than enough damage. And that's going to be the game. So good stuff to Jinzo Dude. I think that enemy controller game shot at the end was actually really cool. And it looks like the sided enemy controller paid off. So that's going to be it for round 4 coverage of OGFC's LT Pot tournament. Stay tuned for more coverage coming very, very, very soon. But for now, that's all we've got. Peace.